Okay, so after I have created these stones and have them distributed, I will now try to create a simple twig or stick. I can create another shape, getting another node here, and then in this node I will set it, or I will set the pattern to capsule, and then I will increase the pattern specific to create a horizontal capsule. I can adjust the turn to 90 degrees, make it stand up, and then this is the capsule initially. So what I'll do next is I can go get another shape, and this time I will use paraboloid. There I can adjust the scale of the paraboloid, and then to distort this I will use a warp spacebar. I will use this time a directional warp. Okay, so from here I can select and add the two of them into the directional warp, and as you can see, as I increase the intensity it gets warped. But the problem is it is limited. I cannot control it, and also the appearance of the capsule is not being consistent. So what I'll do next is I'll do some adjustment. Spacebar, I'll use levels. Here I can reconnect the levels here. So from there I can adjust the sharpness of the level's appearance, and even I can go back here and maybe adjust the scale on the y-axis a little to thin it a bit, and then I can sharpen it further here. There. And then in the directional warp, so it appears that way now in the directional warp. So for me to control this, I can use spacebar, transformation node, and the transformation node I'll do the same. I'll connect it here, and with the transformation node I can do this. I can move the object, I can resize it a bit. For example, I can distort it as I will and start moving this, or let's increase that example, and let's say I'll move it this way. There. I can adjust the scale, and still it will have its effect on the warping. So I can do such things with that. So for example, initially this is my initial shape or form of the twig, but I'd like to adjust further the resizing of this. It's getting sharp there, yes, but I'd like to adjust it a little bit more, something like that. And then here in the transform, there, I'd like to adjust it that way, and I can do some further scaling to bend it a bit there. And then I would like to soften that, so I can add spacebar blur. Let's do an HQ high quality blur and reconnect, and let's say here on the blur I would like to increase or decrease intensity just to remove that corner, sharpened corner there, see? So you have softened that, and then I can do some adjustments, and I can increase scale or decrease it a bit, and then reposition it. Increase scale there. So I want it to be distorted. Okay, so next is I would like to distort this result mainly. So I can use once more the blend. So in the blend, I can place it here, and then to distort that blend, okay, so now I would like to distort this. So I will use another directional warp. So I'll go to the directional warp. So I will warp this image once more, but this time I will use another Perlin noise. The Perlin noise is good for providing this grainy effect, and at the same time I can adjust the size or the scale of the grainy effect, and as you can see here, it gives me that random deformation that I'd like to see, and still it has that effect for on my object as I move it with the other nodes. So after this grainy effect, next to this now is I'll add a slope blur grayscale. In this slope blur grayscale, just like in the stones or rocks that we have created, I will distort this further, increase that, decrease intensity, and then I will try to maximize the mode so that I am going to have some further added some forms or deformations on the sides here. But let's say I want some more variation on that edge, so I can try and adjust it with, I'll try to use this histogram range. So I will plug in this noise, and then I'll use the histogram range to adjust, for example, the value. So from here, as I adjust the amounts, some variations on the edges are being input onto this edge, onto this twig's form. Then to sharpen it a bit, I will now just select this space bar, add levels. So the levels, with the levels, I can sharpen that form, that detail that was added through the help of the slope blur. Now I have that. Now after creating or defining that shape, I'll go to spacebar and blur. I'll do the blur high quality grayscale. This is mainly so that this shape that I have is going to be slightly softened in the edges there. And then after that, I will just space bar and do another blend. So I will blend this in the foreground, and then I'll blend this in the background, and I'll set that to a multiply. So now what I have is like flat on the inside and gradient on the edges. So the next thing is I'll add some texture onto the form of this twig. I'll see you on the next video.